Welcome to episode 69 of No Shame. Stop smiling, Robin. It's only a number. Yeah, we finally got here. I have Lydia Des Dolles on.
What's up?
You probably know Lydia Des Dolles. She's the founder of MMA Connect TV. She's an Irish MMA journalist. Blue belt jiu-jitsu, no?
Blue belt, four stripes.
Blue belt jiu-jitsu, four stripes, and you're on Elaine now.
Yes.
I was only saying, people are saying to me, like, did you see Lydia's on Ellen now? And I'm like, fuck off, is she?
I hope it was
I'm like, Ellen,
big bucks.
I'm the worst for that, because even when you've got like kids now, there's not many kids that are called Elaine, but an Ellen always turns into an Elaine, and an Elaine always turns into an Ellen for me. Or a Megan, and Megan becomes a Sophie, and a Sophie is a Megan. It's something, there's something up with the wording in my head anyway.
Yeah.
But what's the story? So you done an episode today, did you?
Yeah, I was out there today. John Connors was on with us. We were just talking about it. Yeah. I walked in, I was going into hair and makeup, and he's walking out. I was like, what? It's good to see a familiar face when you go in, you know? And he blew everyone away. What
was he saying?
He was out, he was talking about Ireland's cause, so he was talking about...
I was on the stage.
Where are you? Oh, she done that after the question Q&A thing, yeah. How was it?
I was dead, yeah. Good, I was more just sitting there, and I answered like 3 or 4 questions, but I was more sitting there thinking, we wanted to ask questions.
Yeah, in awe.
Oh, stop.
You can listen to him.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, I've seen him on this couch as well.
Have you seen Jordan's Call?
No, but I'm going this week. It's out in Clontarf this week, so I'm going to go.
Really cool idea. It takes people all the way up. It's like drugs are going to be great, like the Ibiza lifestyle and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I won't ruin it because I went on about last week as well.
I have friends who went to see it in Waterford, and they said that they were just like sat there for the whole thing, just mouth open, just going like just captivated by, you know, he just is his language, his use of words, and you know he's so knowledgeable but so accessible. 100%. Do you know what I mean? You just sitting, I'm listening to him and I'm just soaking in everything that he's saying, and then almost like intimidated. And I love that. I love being intimidated by someone who's like, you know,
and he's
loading
so
information.
clever with that. He has a mate as well. He's the settled man, I think he calls him. He does be on his podcast here. The settled man, the traveller. He does a podcast as well.
It's not Teddy, is it?
Teddy's
Ireland, yeah. Creative crime.
Fucking.
I'd see him.
That's mad, yeah.
He's bleeding, he's some lad.
When we start talking to him, right? I mean on Facebook, or probably Bebo or something like that, years ago, right? And we were just having conversations back and forth. This was a total stranger to me, Teddy was, right? And then one day, it's like, sorry, Teddy. Me, him and John are just having a point, and I'm like, where did that turn out? You know what I mean?
But that's when people are on the same wavelength, you know what I mean? You find a way that everyone will connect on some level. Do you know what I mean?
He was building masks or something at the time. He was building Predators and stuff like that.
No way.
Yeah, like building these suits and like putting money into it as well. But he's a
he's a good
special
character.
Effects motherfucker. How was the bleeding? So MMA Connect kicked off. Tell me about this one, right? So obviously you start jiu-jitsu, and I'll start the story for you. You start jiu-jitsu and we're like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
This is brilliant. Yeah. Now it's not, I won't say it's not a female kind of thing to do, but it's what's it like starting jiu-jitsu for a girl?
Well, when I started jiu-jitsu, like I was in a band in my 20s, and that was my career for like 6-7 years.
You still had it in your 20s, Lydia?
No, I'm 34.
Ooh,
yeah, I'm 34. That's jiu-jitsu. That's that jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu lifestyle. But and I was in the band. I won't go into it because it's a long story, but
I won't go into it, but I will.
Yeah. But we were signed to like Universal, toured the world, you know, signed to like 3 or 4 different record labels, put out albums, was on tour for like a couple of years on end, and we got to a point, you know, real Fleetwood Mac stuff, Oasis stuff, where we just kind of self-imploded, and I left.
Did the superhero thing happen?
Yeah. A few egos around, and me as well, guilty of it.
100%. I would have said you were the worst.
and you'd be right.
Listen, egos. One thing I tell you, about when something's going well, when someone has an ego, bring them to the back of the boat, execute them and throw them over.
Yeah, and that should have been done to me a couple of times.
They're just about to affect everybody else.
Do you know what it was? It was like I was the lead singer, and there was 5 of us in the band, and I was going out with the guitarist for when we started the band. That's how we met. And
recipe for disaster.
Yeah, absolutely.
Business and pleasure.
Telling you, and it was good for a while, and then you know what happens is that the more success that you get, then record labels come in, contracts get involved, percentages start coming up, who's getting what. He was the main songwriter, but I'm the lead singer, I'm carrying this band, do you know what I mean? I'm the face. And then, you know, you have the drummer. Well, I'm the drummer. Well, I'm as much a part of this band as anyone else. And then, you know, so it just, when you're young as well and you don't have the tools to deal with business and life and, you know, people, and it was just, it went on its arse.
Do you ever see the book, I always go to an animal farm?
No, but I heard, isn't there a movie coming out, Animal Farm? Now, I know there is a...
No, listen. First time someone saying this, have you ever seen Animal Farm? I don't know, and I was like, the person that was saying it to me, right, I was like, what? You're not supposed to say this to me, you know what I mean? And
something else.
And we have actually been a teacher or something like that, and I remember them saying, like, have you ever read Animal Farm? And I'm like, what? What, you have a book in that
comes out in a book as well.
You have a book in that shit? Tony picks up the chicken. All go on anyway.
Yeah.
And anyway, the book on Animal Farm sounds like what you were going on there.
Yeah.
Human behaviour.
I must check that out. Yeah, nuts.
The pigs turn back into humans in it. That's what happens.
Oh really?
So what happens is the pigs take over the farm, right? And they kick all the humans out, and they make these rules, and they put the rules on the wall, and all of a sudden everyone's living, and it's going to be like all even, and they're going to have more food and stuff like this and stuff, and then all of a sudden, yeah, well, I'll be the leader for this one. And you go, okay, well, then I'll be the second leader. And then what happens is that the Animal Farm happens. And there's rules. We won't sleep in beds. We won't be in the we won't do these kind of things. And then all of a sudden, they change the... And it's mental. Sounds like what's going on here,
well, it was a mad time.
What's touring like?
Hard work.
I say so.
Hard work.
We is rock stars or we is...
In certain areas, you know, we done the UK. In Ireland, we were in the UK. We were, and then by the kind of end of the band, we were in the UK or in America a lot, and then we were in Asia quite a bit because the record label was in Singapore. So the last big tour that we done was in Singapore for a couple of weeks, and that's when the big tensions started to happen. Like, I dissolved as a person. You know what I mean? Like it's a weird thing because you all my life, all I wanted to do was like be a singer and be in a band, and then it happens. And then it's almost like you reach your goal, you reach the destination, and everything kind of implodes. And now I realise that you consistently have to have a goal in life. Yes. You know, you reach the goal and then you have a new goal and you keep pushing. That's something that I only learned after jiu-jitsu, do you know what I mean? And but at that time I didn't understand why am I not happy? Why am I arguing? Why are we killing each other? I should be happy.
Success is not a destination.
Exactly. And then you're drinking. And then what was happening was, you know, you're on a bus, you're not eating properly.
And then you're with the guitarist, so that had to be...
Well, we were broke up, at the end now, we were broke up by two years.
On a bus with somebody that you broke
He had gotten a new girlfriend.
I
had gotten a new boyfriend. They didn't get on. I was on a separate bus. We were in different hotels. You know, all this mad stuff goes on. And, so whatever happened, you know... I left, kicked out. It was just...
say whatever, I left!
It was just a bit of a mad situation. And I was 29 at the time, and I had a nervous breakdown. You know, I literally was living a very unhealthy lifestyle, and I was depressed out of my head, and I was in a really bad dysfunctional relationship. And it only hit me when I kind of stopped touring and the wheels were off. So you just are just Lydia in your gaff, doing nothing. Everything that you thought was like, you know, everything that I thought I was and that defined me was gone. Do you know what I mean? Right. What do I do without music? I couldn't even pick up a guitar anymore because there was too much pain surrounding. I couldn't listen to music, never mind my own music. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. There was too much pain surrounding it, and I just imploded. And I just one day came home and I said to my boyfriend at the time, I was like, I don't think this is working anymore. Like I just can't do it. And he knew it at the time as well, and he just went, okay. He packed his stuff, I packed my stuff, and that was it. I haven't seen him since. He just left.
Really?
Yeah. And he lives in Canada now.
That's even that though there as well, because there's no doubt that there's girls in that situation, and boys as well. Because I always say that, when we went to schools, I always make sure I touch on that in the idea of a conversation that, because sometimes people get into relationships at certain stages of their life. Yeah. And then what happens is that they follow on because it was a decision that they made. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it drags them down. What you'd be saying, it's the equivalent of somebody drowning. If somebody is drowning, what's the first thing you do when you're going out to save them? Yeah. You look after yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that's it.
Absolutely.
And what happens in a relationship is that you get to the stage sometimes where you're trying to help the person and they're helping you, and you're going to drag them in and it's going to be good. But then it clinches. Yeah. And there's this little rough going on.
We bonded on the dysfunction.
Yeah.
We bonded on the
It's
dysfunction.
like Eminem has a song called Crazy in Love. Do you ever hear that?
Yes.
Yeah. You're like, yes, that was my song to my breakup.
You know, but
but there's mad passion in that as well.
And
really. There's mad there's mad attraction in that as well.
And I think when I met him, you know, I was in the band. I was at the peak of my game. I was like this cool rock star. Do you know what I mean? And he was like, you know, he dug that. And then, you know, I don't think he dug the dysfunctional Lydia who had nothing and was depressed out of her head and just wanted to drink and take like prescription pills all the time to numb absolutely every type of emotion that was inside me because I just couldn't cope. I didn't have the tools at the time to be able to cope. And so when we broke up and we left, you know, my mother was on the phone to me and she was like, come home, because she went from Waterford originally. She was like, just come home, come on.
Pierre Queely Town.
Yeah, well, he's done Garvin now, so he's County Waterford. No, he's still Waterford. But
are you close to Tremor?
Yeah, it won't be too far now. I won't walk it, but yeah, it's only out the road. Yeah.
Mad story from Tremor. Right?
The amusements.
Yeah, we were down there years ago when I was younger, like, and one of my mates comes back and we're all sitting on the wall and he's pissed out of his nutter, right? And he's like, I robbed the Wazzers! I robbed the Wazzers!
No way, the big waltzers.
One of my mates thought he robbed the car, right? He was like, what, where is it? Right? And he's like, no, the Wazzers! He's pissed, right? And he starts pulling a pound coins out of his pockets, right? And they're pouring everywhere. Like, the Wazzers! And he was like, the Walsters? Yeah!
You're kidding me. I probably know the lad he robbed off.
Sorry about that. Anyway, say no more. Close to Tremor?
Yeah, just out the road. Yeah, I go to Tremor when I'm home for a nice stroll with the dogs.
Lovely, isn't it?
Really nice spot.
Windsurfing, watching it, and just sitting. There's a little cafe right there on the thing. It's real cozy.
Yeah, well, I do the Christmas swim every Christmas day out in Tremor, and then we go over. There's a place, Moe's Surf Shop, and they do hot chocolate and hot whiskies and
you can't
Christmas morning, and you're in your little Santa suit, you know, it's deadly. Really, you
must summoned you home. You didn't walk.
Yeah, so she was like, tell me to move home, and I was like, no. I was like, I'm not just going home. I'm just going to get a new place to live. It'll be fine. And
what year was this?
This is like 5 years ago.
Jeez, and you were just able to just grab a place to live like that?
Well, no.
I'm only messing with you.
It was months on end, and I ended up in a bed sit with like 7 other people.
We were all sharing a bed. We were all sharing a bed. It was 350 quid a week.
900 euro a week. But I found a girl who was looking for a roommate, so I moved in with her. And like obviously in a breakup, do you know what I mean?
That's
I was like, the band was gone, bleeding boyfriend was gone. I was
contracts in the bands and stuff like that. How did that work contracts wise? Did you have to break a contract? Or did you just
I did have to break a contract. Yeah,
it
was a very, very awkward time. And there was a lot of things where we had recorded an album that was due for release, so I was gone just before the album was to get released. So there was a lot of solicitors involved and stuff.
Are you all gone now? Is it all blown?
It's all been over. The lads kept the band going for a while, and then they broke up. And then the Daniel, who was in the band with me, he now has does his own solo project and stuff. So it was a rough couple of years, Paddy. Do you know what I mean? And like it was a dark time. Dark is the definite word there.
Hello, darkness,
but
my old friend.
Yeah, literally.
Cutting in there on you for a real second. Right? Sorry. I watched something last night, right? You're going on about bands and you're going on about tours and all, and it was amazing, right? And then a mad thing happened today. So, the Miami Showband. Have you ever heard of this?
No.
If you've never heard of Miami Showband,
no.
Have you ever heard of this?
No.
It's on Netflix, right? So go home and watch it. Daily, right? So there was a band, and it was like the Irish Beatles.
Yeah.
You hear this story. It was an Irish Beatles, and it was in the times in the 70s, so it was 1970, and they would have been touring all over Ireland and England, like, and like girls were mad for them, and like they had the flares and they had all this kind of stuff and all. But it's a terrible, tragic story as well, right? But what happened was that they were driving up and down from the border, and then one night they had done a show in Belfast, and I think they were heading back towards Tipperary. And they got stopped at a checkpoint right on the way out. Now these are totally innocent, and like at their gigs they were very known for everyone leaving sectarianism at the door, and you came in and everyone partied and it was great, and it was like they were like, we were home by 11:30.
Yeah.
You know, like it was that time it was. They're coming back down to get stopped by at a checkpoint, right?
I did hear that story.
Yeah. So when you get to the checkpoint, they're standing there and they're told to get out of the van. They'd never been told to get out of the van before, so we said this was strange. And they're lined up, and all the soldiers, they're all soldiers that are there with them, and the boys that are soldiers are saying, one of the lads turns around and says, it's grand, like they're soldiers, and they're Northern Ireland accent, so they're normal soldiers. So then a British soldier comes in and starts to speak with a really, really posh British accent, he says, and he's like, and one of them panics a little bit. One of the guys that's with them is like, look, this is strange, like why is he here? You know what I mean? He's like a general. So as this is happening, the van explodes.
Shit.
Alright? So it turns out that it was a paramilitary attack, and what they were trying to do is they were trying to plant a bomb into the van, right? And this was the excuse that was made from it. They had to plant the bomb in the thing, but turns out, long story short, they got the bomb off like the MI5. So they got the bomb off like the British highest intelligence, right? Now, the two lads that planted the bomb died. Two of the, I think maybe three of the band members died straight away. So he's explaining about being on the side of the road, these band members on tours and stuff like that. I know this is because you've been on tours,
yeah,
what I'm saying,
I can
right?
only...
So what they were trying to do is they were trying to say, then they tried to make the excuse that they tried to frame them, that look how innocent people can be, and they can be moving bombs.
Yeah.
Because what they wanted to do, they wanted to lock down the border in Northern Ireland. They wanted the border in Northern Ireland to be a stronghold that nobody could pass through it. Like that was nearly like the Mexican border, if you must. You get what I mean? So they were trying to do this, but one of the guys that survives, he accepted what was going. Like, oh, it is what it is. But then years later, he goes on this mad investigation, and he's so inspired. He's one of the boys out of thing. How I first heard of this story was that I was at the Wolf Tones one night, and there's a guy on stage that I didn't recognise, and he's actually one of the Miami Showband.
No way, wow.
The whole Wolf Tones done one of the songs, right? They do a song called Clap Your Hands, Stamp Your Feet, and you want to see, this used to blow places up. Jesus, terrible bleeding.
Choice of words.
God, bad choice of words. I didn't mean it. Sorry. Apologies. But anyway, so what you're saying there when you were saying about the band and about the idea of like being togetherness and stuff like that, gotta be thinking of that. But if you haven't seen it, check it out. It's on Netflix. It's called the Miami Showband.
Must check it out, yeah.
And it's like, it's incredibly like you think we talk about conspiracies. But I'm not bullshitting when you if you say this stuff like this fella didn't believe it, and all of a sudden it turns out that they were actually trying to kill the paramilitaries. Now, when you're talking about it was the UVF on that side of it. They were trying to, the British MI5 were trying to kill them. So they were giving them bombs with bad fuses and letting them blow up and all. Yeah. And here, the guys actually have a letter, the UVF, that they were asked to kill Charlie Hottie. Right, at the time, yeah, right? And they sent it to Charlie Hottie. And like, listen, we were asked to kill you, we're not going to kill you, but we just want to let you know we were asked to kill you and stuff like this. And this is the Taoiseach of like Ireland at the time.
You think you're bleeding troubles, don't you? Freaking hell, this is
mental.
It's all context, context.
All mental. So the darkest time of your life.
Darkest time of my life.
You found a new love.
This is what happened.
Right.
I had got into the new house. I was out absolutely locked, right? And my best friend's boyfriend is a judo black belt, and he was out with us, and I was wrestling with him, and I was messing, and I was bleeding, bear hugging him and stuff, and he just turned around to me and he was like, "You need to start jiu-jitsu. You, every time I'm around you and you're drunk, you're trying to wrestle me or trying to take me down or something." And I was like, no.
Did you fancy him?
No, my best friend's boyfriend. No, not at all. Jesus, no. But he's a good-looking fella. Like.
Sounds like schoolyard and throwing muck there. I'm just saying. Fuck it.
That's why I probably get myself into so much trouble.
Yeah. Some wrestling, some gear.
No. But basically, he was doing a kids' judo class on Saturday mornings in like up the road from where I was living, and he goes, "Come an hour earlier before I start my kids' class, and we'll do a few of the basics and just see how you get on with it." So I went up there, full face of makeup, hair blow dried the lot.
Hey, fair play to your mate is all I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
To be able to deal with that.
Yeah, tell you, right, because I came out and he gave me a white judo
Imagine
gi.
that, you're watching your mate wrestling and then all of a sudden, no, I mean, nothing like, you understand?
Oh, no.
Fair play to you, yeah?
Fair play to you, yeah, no, it's definitely not jealous, no. So I went up and he gave me like a white judo gi, and I came out and I think I'd done something like that, but I got makeup, or I went to give him a hug, and I got makeup on his gi, and he was like, "If you got fucking makeup on, get in and wash your face." I was like, "Oh Jesus, okay, don't tell you how much I didn't know about jiu-jitsu at the time, So he done a couple.
I didn't never wear makeup on 4 days. I definitely knew that. Don't wear makeup, Paddy.
He just started doing like little things like shrimping drills and stuff like that, So I done that with him for about 6 or 7 weeks, and I really enjoyed it. Now I was so unfit. I was really unhealthy, way heavier than I am now. And the uncomfortableness of like jiu-jitsu, like day one.
This is what I was going to say, because girls who say that to me, like,
serious. Because let's be real, like when you go into a jiu-jitsu academy for the first time and you're not accustomed to it, you're kind of looking around going, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
100%.
But he had said to me after a couple of seasons, like, "Look, I don't do jiu-jitsu. I can't teach it anymore, so you're going to have to go to a club."
He's a good man.
Yes, right? And I was like, "Well, sure, where do I go? What do I do?" So
don't kick me out of this.
What am I going to do? And he said, "I have a friend who trains at East Coast Jiu-Jitsu Academy, and they've got a few girls out there. Go out." So I was like living in town, and I was like, Don Leary, he's bleeding miles out. So anyway, I decided I'd go out after a couple of weeks ago, and will I start, will I not, you know, him and hon. And I went out on a Saturday, and I got out to the road where the gym is, and I was like sitting there outside, and I was like, right, the class is starting in 20 minutes, and I just started pacing the road. Nerves kicking in. What am I doing? Why am I out here? What's going on? What am I going to be made to do? I got to the door and I went, no, I didn't even see the mats. I just got to the front door and I was like, no, I can't do it. Went out, started walking down the road, looked at, it was 10, the class was at 12 o'clock on Saturday, it was 10 past 12, and something, I swear to God, it was like, I can't even describe it. It was like a pull from inside me just turned me around, and I walked back. And it's just, I get goosebumps even thinking about it. But I got to the door, I stuck my head in, it was Chris Leddy who was doing the class at the time, and I just went, sorry, I'm late, like that, and he went, you're all good, in you come. Went in, got changed, went out, like, and, you know, started doing the warm-up drills, and, you know, we taught the class, basically. And I left, and I was like, my head was going to explode. I didn't know how to feel. I was like, what just happened to me there? What was this? But then I went, okay, I'm going to go Tuesday, because the beginner class is on Tuesday. I went back out on the Tuesday, still didn't feel any better, still felt like, what the hell am I doing? My ego from being in a band and being like, oh my God, are you Lydia from blah blah, and oh my God, people want to talk to me about, to be in the Jiu-jitsu academy, overweight, unfit, not able to do what I'm being asked to do, like out of my comfort zone completely.
You sound like the perfect condition for the Jiu-Jitsu Academy beginners class.
It was like I was the full onion.
If that was growing up plants, they are the conditions that you need.
Absolutely. I was the full onion,
yes,
and there was my journey.
And a little sprinkle of ego.
There was my journey to become, you know, de-peeled, yes. The layers coming off. So I went for a couple of weeks, and then the more I went, the more I started to understand little bits, and I started to enjoy the kind of camaraderie and the atmosphere, and it was like being a child back in school again. You know, people are going like, what's the story? How are you? You just have to start, and what's your name? You know, and I'm like, oh, Lydia, and have you done that like this before? No.
Do you remember your first experience when you see someone you train with outside the gym? You're like,
absolutely, you're like, oh my God,
we could kill everybody. Just having this conversation.
Absolutely. And at the time, it was an escape from, because the environment that I was in music, and everyone that was connected to music knew the drama that was going on, knew that the band had broken up.
Yeah.
But in Jiu-Jitsu, it was a new thing. No one knew me. It was like a clean slate, fresh start. And I went, and after, I'd say it was about 3.5 months, to say that I got obsessed. I moved to Dunleary, stopped drinking, stopped taking prescription drugs, stopped, stopped smoking.
Are you getting prescription drugs off doctors?
No.
No?
No.
It's even more. Sorry, I had to ask you that.
Yeah, no, I wasn't.
Yeah, but this is a real thing. Because let me tell you one thing. Prescription drugs are probably a bigger problem than a lot of the other drugs out. The worst thing about prescription drugs is that you feel like, oh no, I don't do drugs.
Yes,
drugs are drugs.
Yes, and when I used to be in the band and all the lads were taking drugs, and I used to sit back and go, I don't take drugs. And I was like, you know, taking a Xanax. I'll be real, fuck it. I was being given Xanax by a record label.
Here. Do you know what? But it's right.
And been handed, because I would have so much anxiety, and I would be so physically drained and upset with the environment that I was in, to then have to get on stage with these people. And perform and want to be and feel like I'm an honest person and I'm real, and want people to see that and notice that in me straight away when they meet me, and then to have to get on stage and pretend that I fucking like these people.
No, it's the worst
and I'm
thing
just
ever.
looking around, I'm just like, I fucking hate them.
You look at the Cranberries, or you look at like anyone that has that energy, or Aslan and all that, them boys would take like you can just
bullet for each
you know
other.
What I mean?
You can feel
and
it.
You need that. And listen, as it goes on, as the ball rolls, the centre reveals itself.
Yes.
And the centre is a solid spear.
Yeah.
And it's iron, and it's all the way through. And they're the few people that you'll be able to really, really.
Absolutely.
But I think this happens in Jiu-Jitsu a lot quicker than it happens in life. I think sometimes you might get to the end of life and then you find the spear.
Yes.
Yeah, because you spend so much time swimming through all this fucking, as I said, prescription pills and like, this working, is that working? Before you know it, you're at the end of your life, you know what I mean?
And I never felt like a drug addict, or I never felt like an alcoholic. I was self-medicating, and that's how I was justifying it, because I wasn't waking up in the morning and saying like, you know, oh, okay, I'm not well, I'm depressed, I don't feel good. It was like a natural thing. I felt better. I thought I was feeling better by drinking that much and by taking that. But you soon learn that when you come out of it, how much it does the complete fucking opposite that you want it to do, especially alcohol. And, you know, when you're in a band, you're being handed a bottle of Jägermeister to get on stage with. Do you know what I mean? I'd go to a venue and there'd be 2 bottles of red wine, a bottle of Jägermeister, and a handful of Xanax. Do you know what I mean? Give her whatever she needs to get up and do the job that makes us money.
That makes us money. And then guess what? When you're exhausted and you're done, get out.
Yeah.
Come on in here.
We've someone with fresh meat. We've fresh meat coming in here. But with jiu-jitsu, it gave me the opportunity to just kick that out, because in jiu-jitsu, the jiu-jitsu lifestyle, as you know, it's not about drinking, it's not about going out partying, it's about a good hard training session on the daily, and then going for a load of grub with your teammates and having this healthy going for coffee. I never went for coffee with people before. Let's grab a coffee, man, let's go for a bit of food, we get a few rounds in. Sundays, what are you going to do? Go for it. You know, every day is a different type of rounds. You know, during the week it's like the hardcore training. On a Saturday you've open mat, there might be kids in, and you're kind of like trying out new things and you're meeting new people. Sundays then is a real relaxing kind of roll day. So 7 days a week I was down in that gym. I did not leave, and it was a safety net, which is something that, you know, from jiu-jitsu I learned that I needed to go to therapy to deal with, you know, things from my childhood, things from, not heavy, nothing mad, but just life, do you know what I mean, like to process things. And what I learned that what jiu-jitsu gave me was a safety net. I had this like continuous feeling inside me of not feeling safe, never feeling safe, never feeling protected. And through that I was defensive, and I was like argumentative, and I was, you know, could never let anyone truly inside. Like,
you explained that really well, Jonah. That was
Thank
really
you.
Because when I walked into...
That's my therapy. That's what I listen to my therapist.
Was it, yeah? But that was really good, because I probably felt the same way when I walked in, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the idea when I found it, I was like, to me,
and it's
this is a ship.
Absolutely. And it's the safety net of knowing what's going to happen when you get there. Nothing changes. You know, when you walk in, you go into the change room, you see the girls, you walk out, Darren, my coach, will be at reception. All right, you go in, you do your stretches, you warm up. You know that you're going to have your half an hour of drill and techniques, whatever it is, and then you're going to roll for an hour. And it's a safe environment where there's no egos. Everyone wants to better themselves. Everyone's on the same path and same wavelength to be better and to help each other get better. And I'd never experienced that before. Do you know what I mean? And it changed everything,
That sounds
Paddy.
like your white belt journey, yeah?
Yeah.
So I want to tell you, did you see the different tier that happens when you get the blue belt journey?
Leveled up, new level in the game.
Yeah, but listen, you get a blue belt walking in sometimes, and it's like, there's blue belt ego, you know?
Yeah.
But it goes.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
someone gets a blue belt or something like that, say,
Well, I
did you
couldn't believe it. When I did get my blue belt, you know, like, the level of pride that I had that day
incredible.
was just to do something that I done off my own back for myself, that improves me as a human, that makes me a better person for myself and for the people that I meet and the people that are in my life, and to be awarded for that was a feeling that I get goosebumps feeling it, like a level of pride, do you know? And to have your coach like say he's proud of you, well done. Like I say to Sarah all the time, how that feels and how that felt at the time was just, money couldn't buy it.
No, you can't.
Do you know what I mean?
I always say that as well when doing any talks in school as well. It's like the first little while of jiu-jitsu is that if you can get to your blue belt, you've probably done something. And to me, it's like, as I said, especially for people, it's about fixing people, it's about healing through jiu-jitsu if you must. Some people do it all different ways. Doctors do it through prescription pills. I think we can do it through jiu-jitsu. You
Absolutely,
know what I mean? You know the people that have kind of tuck in now. You can't, as you have to be careful of when you're going to try to save someone. That you don't drown yourself as well. You know, so that happens. So I think if you can do that through jiu-jitsu when you get your blue belt, no matter what happens after that, you've done something and you found something in your life, as I was saying to you, that literally that'll fix you. It's more than therapy. It's more than that. And even if you never do jiu-jitsu after that again, but you probably won't because you're strung out of your mind on it.
Yeah. But that's the thing, and it's the hardest thing I've ever done.
Yes.
It's the hardest thing, and it's that thing of like you're like the first time when you start rolling, and even at blue belts, and even at the level I'm at now, you know, it's the age-old saying in jiu-jitsu or in martial arts, you never stop learning. There's someone that will always teach you something, whether they're a white belt, whether they're a black belt. You are going to learn something off everyone. And through jiu-jitsu, I learned that I love learning.
Yes.
I never loved learning before. Like, you're in school, and I hated school, and I hated learning. And you come out of school, and you think that you're not an intelligent person. You think that you're someone who hates learning, and there's something wrong with you because of that, because you didn't do well in school in the exams that they put in front of you. And then you start jiu-jitsu, and you realise, fucking love learning.
Yeah.
And I get off on learning.
It depends on what time, but yeah, that's it. It depends on what time of kind of learning. Like, I said it even last week, the ability of a fish to climb a tree.
Yeah.
He spent his whole time thinking he's a dummy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's, to me, it was always physical. And when I found what I found I've learned from jiu-jitsu and fighting and competing and stuff like that is that I've learned a lot about mentality and about mental health, and I've learned more about all of that stuff. Now, I was always interested in that, and I think whatever you kind of have at like a little low B, jiu-jitsu makes it bigger, and it makes it bigger, and whatever you are, it will bring it out of you. You know what I mean? It's like you're a seed, and you will grow into that.
Absolutely. And what it done for me as well is that it naturally helped me to get rid of all the badness that was in my life. The people, the environments, just absolutely everything. Because all I wanted to do was do jiu-jitsu. Didn't want to do anything else. I started competing. I wanted to like get healthy, get fit. I started doing strength and conditioning, started meeting new people who were on the same path that I was, or where I wanted to be in life.
Right.
And everything was healthy and bright and fresh and clean. And it made me feel better consistently every time I went out, even if I was getting smashed.
Yeah,
I was leaving
of
there
course.
going, it's just a euphoric feeling. The feeling of training for 2 hours and getting home, and the house could be burning down around you. And you just be like, I don't care.
There's a better way of just saying, I love that feeling, not exactly the feeling you're on.
You're just like, your legs are just dead weight. You're just like,
stop, I'm bleeding.
And you chase that feeling forevermore. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I was saying to Chelsea downstairs, I was like, he just asked me about work, and I was saying, it's real busy now, and I'm like, it's brilliant, but if I don't get to train for 2 days, I'm like, I just need to schedule in an hour session somewhere. Do you know what I mean?
Like a Xanax. Like, it's nearly like a Xanax, as I said.
Absolutely,
I done me bleeding elbow there about 2-3 weeks ago, and I haven't been able to roll, I haven't been able to train, and I can feel it.
Yeah.
You get
you just, it's something on you, and you're like, I can't get it off.
100%. So, in between that as well, so you couldn't get your medication, because this is the worst thing about jiu-jitsu, as I'm saying about an injured elbow here. I've probably seen you having one of the worst injuries that I've ever seen in jiu-jitsu, right? And I'm gonna literally, we're gonna put it in now, right? If you're squeamish, don't fucking look at it. It's horrible. Yeah, hire your telly up if you're not squeamish, because you'll hear it. So you smashed your ankle, probably the worst I've ever seen. Explain that to me. How did that feel?
I'll tell you what, the day I was out there, and here's the thing, it was Paddy's weekend, only gone, it's 2 years ago last weekend. It was Paddy's weekend, and all my friends like that don't do jiu-jitsu were like, we're going on the pace, you come? And I went, no, I'm going to head up to Drogheda. I know a few lads that are doing a bit of a session up there. I'm going to spend the week out up there.
When you do jiu-jitsu, you're chasing the session.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? So I was like, I'm going to do that. I was like, yeah, fair play, Lydia, you're going up choosing a healthy lifestyle. And it was he tried to do a scissor sweep, which is banned in like.
What age is he? What belt was he?
I think he was only a white belt.
Motherfucker,
yeah.
No, scissor sweep for white belts.
He was only a white belt, and he was 17 at the time, and it was just look.
That changed his life as well.
It really did. And he still says it to me now. I see him at loads of shows, and he just says to me like, "How's your ankle? How are you?"
We won't shame you.
We won't shame you, yeah. But he knows, like, but look, you sign up for that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when it happened, Paddy, he done it right, and I've never broken anything before ever in my life, and it was like, do you know you got those ice packs that you put into the freezer and you can crunch them. They're like the plastic, you That's what it felt like. And I literally got up and I went, shit. And everyone heard the bang. And I just remember everyone was, lie down. I was like, no, you're fine. And I was hopping. I was going, it's good. I just sprained it. And I was like, come on. I was saying, come on, let's just finish out the round. And then I put my foot down and I just collapsed onto the ground. Collapsed down. And then it hit me what had happened. And I was like, I'm after hurting myself. So the lads got a car around the back, brought me up to the hospital.
Brought me up to the back field with a spade. They were going to bury you, I said.
We were doing no gi at the time.
Like, we're going to bury you. Lucky, one of them I said, let's turn right, turn fucking left.
Seriously. I was in my spats at the time, head sweating off me, and got in, sitting in A&E. I was in A&E for 16 hours.
The Irish
16
system.
hours. I don't mind at the time my private healthcare as well. But,
and we were in this deal?
Yeah.
That's what we're dealing with,
yeah. Private healthcare and
do you know there's 6 million people in Ireland? There's 8 million people in London alone, right? There's 14 hospitals in London. What the fuck are we doing over here? You know what I mean?
No, it's absolutely madness, isn't it?
14 or 16 hours from that. Do you know what? When you go to a waiting room over in Ireland, it's like a marathon. Who wants it the most? Are you really sick? Are you?
I think they do that. I think they do that.
That's what I'm saying. We'll give you 10 hours and we'll see you still really feeling broke.
So they
you know what I mean?
And you just see them all floating around. I mean, no disrespect. I know the hospitals there, they're working hard, but
the disrespect goes straight to the top. There is disrespect, yeah? We're talking to Leo, we're talking to...
at the top of the game we are,
We're talking to all of these bleeding Owen Murphy, all of these boys that are 3 lads that are ruining this whole country over and over again. I'll just be out straight. These are absolute fools, man.
Well, it was
definitely won't watch no shame, but...
And I tell you what, it was 16 hours, and the only reason I got seen at the 16th hour was because I went up and I was like, I'm going back home. I live in Dublin, I was in Drogheda.
Oh, the marathon. Come on. We don't shit with later.
Yeah, someone's been paid a tenner then.
Who had 16 hours?
Who had 16 hours? And she was like, okay. She was like, right, okay, no problem. So she was getting me the discharge sheets, and another nurse came out, and she was coming to give me medication, a painkiller. And I was like, oh, it's grand. I was like, I'm going home. And she was like, what are you going home for? I was like, I've been here 16 hours. So she was like, hang on. She went in, said something, and then they brought me in straight away. So I went in, I saw the doctor, and he looked at it, and he went, you're going to have to go in for an x-ray. And I was like, fuck's sake.
I could have told you that myself, mate. I'd be walking up the counter. Listen, let's process the x-ray, let's process the other shit that we know what's going on.
Get it in.
And then we can see the doctor. I'm like,
totally.
no, you got to see the doctor. Then he's going to tell you about the x-ray.
I'm like, can we just fast forward this? But I went in, and at this time, Paddy, I still thought that I was only after spraining it. I honestly, it was total denial. Got the x-ray, went in on the bed, and I was sitting there, and one of the lads was with me, and I was like, okay, I was like, just wrap it up and we can get out here. And he was like, you've got a multilateral, fracture, impact. 4 places.
Impact break,
basically the side of the ankle there. It went that way, and then it just shattered into 4 different places, the whole just above the ankle bone. And he just said, you're not going anywhere. He was like,
fibia and your tibia.
Yeah, I think it was the lateral malleolar.
So lateral is the outside.
Yeah, it was the outer one. Yeah, that went.
So they go down through the middle? So you broke the side of it, did you?
I broke the side of it, yeah. So the pins are on the side, the pins in the plate. But he basically said to me, you're not going anywhere. He was like, this was a Saturday, and he was like,
surgery,
you need to go surgery.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? Paddy's nice. They put me on a stretcher, right? In the hall, outside A&E on Paddy's night, in bleeding out.
That's 5 stars.
I was like that, a broken ankle in Drogheda, nothing around me, still in my training gear.
You should have brought the film crew.
This is before MMA Connect TV. This is before, right? I'm sitting there and like I'm going, what is going on? Like, what's happening? People coming in to get pumped out next to me. Fellas like, alright, love you, alright, what's going on?
Yeah, I love you. Help me.
When you're happening then. Went into they were saying, right, you're going to have your surgery on Monday morning at 7 o'clock. This was like Sunday at 8, and I was like, right, brilliant. So they were like sitting in the bed. I was like, fucking hell, bawling, crying. Every nurse, every doctor, I was like, how long is it going to be? When will I get back training? Like, what's going to happen? Like, I don't live here. Terrified. And a nurse came around, and she was like, we're just going to get you ready for your surgery. This was at about like 10 or 11 o'clock that night, right? So no problem. She takes out this massive needle. I have no fear of needles, right?
I was going to say glove. I was like, oh shit. Oh no.
I'm out of here. She puts this needle into my stomach, right? I didn't think that novel was just getting me ready for surgery. So then the next morning, 6:30, they bring me down and I'm lying in the bed and there's this absolutely brilliant nurse and she was like rubbing my head. Like she see I was so upset, you know. She just rubbed my head, telling me everything's going to be okay. Telling you, she was just like, she was so beautiful and like just kind-hearted. But as I'm talking to her, she was like, when was the last time you had pain medication? What time did they give it to you at? And I was like, oh, I got pain meds at like 9 o'clock and then the injection was about like 10, half 10, 11. And she just went, what injection? And I said, oh, I don't know, a nurse gave me an injection in my stomach. And she was like, okay, just give me a moment. Went off for 10 minutes, came back with the doctor or the surgeon. What did you get? And I was like, I don't know, I got some kind of needle into my stomach. They went off and they found the nurse. The nurse who gave me the needle was in the wrong ward. She was meant to be in the cardiac ward.
Oh.
She gave me a blood thinner for heart surgery. No joke, no lie. So they couldn't do my surgery for another 16 hours.
Listen, and you know what? I'm just going to put a comment on this as well because that is what that's why the nurses are striking. People are like, the nurses should go back. But what about the patients? That's why they care about the patients.
Yeah.
If you're thinking that it's about money or it's about greed, you're sadly mistaken. Because what it's about is about knowing what floor you're on, what syringe you have, who that person is. It's Paddy's weekend. I've been working for 20 hours.
Yeah.
That's why they're striking.
There's people coming in to get pumped out. Do you know what I mean? And there's genuine cases.
They're striking for the reason.
Absolutely.
Because they're so tired and they're so overworked that it's like, I've heard like it's 1 nurse to 4 people or something like this, and I've heard of nurses looking after 11 people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And sometimes I've heard nurses looking at people on different floors.
They were flat out. They were flat out. So they couldn't do the surgery for another, like, the next day. It was nearly 24 hours later, and they had to do the surgery in, what's it called when you, tourniquet. They had to put a tourniquet around my thigh. So my leg was like that during surgery because they had to stop the blood. Yeah, so the surgeon said straight out to me, I was like, no, just do the surgery. He's like, if we go in and do the surgery now, you bleed to death. And he's like, and if you hadn't told us that you got that injection, we wouldn't have known.
Do you know what the mad thing is? I'm a haemophiliac.
Seriously?
If that had happened to me, I definitely would have died.
Yeah.
Because I can't take blood thinners.
Do you know what I mean?
I'm saying that.
You think when you're going in for an ankle surgery, even though it's like, yeah, it's a major surgery, whatever, and you're getting plates and pins put in, you don't actually, like, I didn't really think that there was a risk. I was like, they know what they're doing. It's all good. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was just nerve-wracking. But I
was getting a back surgery, right? And I watched it before that, and it was the horriblest thing ever.
You watched someone getting it done?
No, I watched like it on YouTube before it, yeah. And literally, you're in the nip. But they have to bend you over something, so you're literally in the nip, bent over on your own. No, you don't go sleep like that. And all my head was right, they're going to move me in the nip and bend me over something. And not only that, they're going to put me back here, right? And I'm going to be like this. And in between all of that, I'm not going to have any inkling to what was going on.
Yeah, you're just going to be flopped. You're just going to
be flopped over like a bench like this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They could have done.
You're like, take a picture with you. Get a selfie with me when I'm up there.
You know, yeah. Well, yeah, surgery's weird, isn't it? In that way.
A weird thing, yeah, and I've never experienced. I haven't got my appendix
when I was a child. On a Monday, because like when your bone breaks, like it starts to calcify.
Yeah.
So that's nearly starting to calcify straight away.
I didn't think about that at the time.
Like, yeah, but I am. Like, as I said, when I got that thing with my elbow, we had the same thing. It was a snap, but it was like a pop out and a pop in. Now I was like, I'm at the break of my arm. I'm at the break of my arm.
Yeah.
And I knew it. I don't think on the way to the thing. You have to get there quick, because when they're breaking it and it starts calcifying, they're going to have to start grinding the bone and all this and all.
Shit, yeah,
so
yeah.
Like these things, like, you should be getting straight into surgery
That's
for
the
these
thing.
things, because...
Yeah. But look, I mean, my main concern, as mad as it sounds, but people who train will understand it, my main concern was, when do I get back? Because up until that point, jiu-jitsu was my medication. Training was my medication, and now it's gone. And then I started panicking, going like, well, if that's gone, will I slip back into old habits? And what am I missing? What if I can't remember how to do jiu-jitsu when I go back? All these things. And I remember I was in a cast for 4.5 months, and when I went to get the cast off, I was like, okay, my cast is off, brilliant. And that's only the first stage. That's only the first stage. Then you have the rehab and like just absolutely mental. I think it was about 9 months before I could really get back to properly training. And I remember when I went back, and my coach Dara is like, you know, we all think our coaches are the best in the world, you know, and he's phenomenal athlete, you know, and a coach, and
he's obsessed,
and you can go to him about anything, but I never gone to him with any kind of like emotional like help me, you know. But it was the first time that I went to him after class, and I was tears in my eyes, and I just said like, I'm scared that I couldn't train properly. I was someone would pull guard and I'd freak, you know. I was just nervous. I couldn't pass guard. I didn't want to use my leg. My confidence was completely knocked. And he just looked at me and he just said, you just have to train. I said, what'll I do? And he's like, you just have to keep training. Just keep turning up. Keep coming back. It'll go. And he was, at the time, I was like, what? I was like, I need more. I needed like a counselling session. But he knew what he was doing. You know what I mean? It's black and white. You just keep coming back. Just keep coming back and it'll get better. And it did. And it put a new fire underneath me. Do you know? Because I knew what it was like to not be able to train. So now, every time I can train, I'm like, I'm going to mill you. And then you get milled, but you're like, I don't care. You know?
Yeah, no matter what size you're on it.
Yeah.
But then there's obviously you did MMA Connect TV and you've been pumping that out as well now. So that's your own.
But that's how it came about. I mean, I started jiu-jitsu and then I started going to fight nights. Do you know what I mean? Started working for Bama, doing like their social media. And that's how it happened.
So anybody that's out there now, like, anybody that's that is trying to do something, because I get people like, I'm doing design, Paddy, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and I'm like, listen, I can't just pop you up on my page and then all of a sudden it's like, whoa,
success.
It doesn't work like that. So we try to guide people to Robin as much as possible, but then like Robin has his own life as well, and we reckon you're bleeding the head. You know what I mean? But so initiative. Success is a little journey that ends up.
And you know what? Like, people say to me all the time, like, how did it get started? And like, you know, how did it get to this stage? And you know, the opportunities now that have come through. I started on Snapchat. I was at shows, Snapchatting shows from the crowd, sitting down. But because I was training and because I was able to understand what was happening, I was able to capture things that people were interested in seeing, or I was able to see things that people that maybe don't train wouldn't notice or wouldn't recognise. And then my Snapchat started building up. Then I was like thousands of people, and I'd go to a show, or it'd be Tuesday night and someone would message me being like, here, are you going to that show on the weekend? Will you put up the results or something like that? And it literally started like that. It started kind of like, I was like, what is it, mad little momentum here? And I kind of got a buzz off of people being able to sit at home and see what was going on. Do you know what I mean? Through like the Snapchat. And I went to Claire, a fight store, and I said to her, look, I know you do media. I was like, any chance I could get a shot at like doing interviews? And at the time they had just brought in that big tall lad, what's his name? Shane Kirkwood. He had just started at the time with him. And she was like, look, we're just after getting Shane now, and you know, maybe down the line something will be there, but not for the time being. So I was like, okay, grand. I've never been one to just go, okay, well, one door has closed, I'll sit back and wait and hope that they come and like, you know, contact me in 6 months. So I was like, fuck, I'm just going to do it myself. Went out, spoke to everyone that I knew that had some involvement in film or video or cameras, and found a lad, Carl. He was like, yeah, I'd be interested in doing it. And I said, right, cool, we just go and see how we get on. Went, had the wrong mic, like the whole lot. Yeah. Literally. We were talking about learning on the job. And I just went, I don't know how to interview. I'm not a journalist, but I know how to have a conversation with someone, and I enjoy listening to people and like, you know, bouncing and having a bit of banter with people. Exactly the way you are.
When I first met you, I think that's what you were doing. Because you were up in Temple Patrick, I think, when I first met you. And I'd seen a few of your interviews and stuff like that. Yeah. And you were like, can I do an interview? And I was like, about what? You were like,
I don't know.
I was like, give me one of the questions you're going to ask me. And you were like, I don't know what I'm going to ask you. Yeah, I was like, alright, fuck it.
Yeah, let's go.
You know what I mean?
Do you know what I mean? Yeah, like, just like, we'll see what happens.
Backstage, and it was like, I was like, it's actually really good.
Well, thank you very much.
That was you're already starting to pop up then. And do you know what? And the way I always see it, right? Because I'm always trying to look at what's going to happen. You know what I mean? Even when I'm gone, when we're all gone, you know what I mean? It's like everything that got started was a part. It's like everyone's baby, you know. Yeah. So when you're looking at things like this, you're like, this is. We can see the good in this. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, people say like, why do you do it though? They're like, my friends are like, Lydia, you're flat out. Like, you need to take a break, like 7 days a week. When I'm not at a show, I'm editing, I'm writing content, I'm thinking about what to do next. Like, there's no days off from it. It's my entire life at cost. You know what I mean? I'm 34, I'm not married, I don't have kids, I don't have a good social life. Do you know what I mean? It's at cost. But it makes me happy. And I that's the best currency in the world, sure.
Exactly. And through jiu-jitsu, through therapy, through living clean, through this new positive lifestyle mindset that I've gotten through jiu-jitsu.
And I'm watching the No Shame podcast.
I'm watching the No Shame podcast, of course, and meeting Paddy. I started like meditating, and I don't even know, I still don't know if I meditate properly, but I remember one day when I started MMA Connect TV, and I was like, this is deadly. I was like, I'm really enjoying doing this, and I feel like people are really appreciative of it. I remember I got like real kind of upset. I started crying, and I remember just being like, literally in like bleeding on my knees, bawling, crying, and I just started saying like, you know, if this, I don't know what I was talking about, if this is my purpose, I was like, give me something. I want to do something that is good. I want to do something that gives me purpose and helps not only people, but the way I look at it, Paddy, is if I had seen someone like me 10 years ago, would I have started jiu-jitsu then?
Oh, well.
Do you know what I mean? So
That's a hard one.
Do you know what I mean? Like, so
Would that pull you into it, like, you know?
Yeah.
That's what you're saying. Yeah.
you know, so but
It's all different hooks for different folks.
it
as well,
is like,
so.
I'm like, I always wonder, like, would I, if I'd seen someone like that, would I have done it, or did I need to go through what I went through to get to that stage in the journey? There's a whole heap of things, but all I know is that it feels good when I do MMA Connect TV, and I feel that I have a tiny part to play in helping someone to share their side of the story, or to show people how passionate about their life and what inspires them, what makes them get up in the morning and say, I'm going to train twice a day today.
But it is these things as well, because like you're the media, right? So when you look at it like that, right, you're the media, and I've always given mad respect to the media, because not journalists, the media.
Yeah, like, and
that is,
when people say you're a journalist, I'm like, I'm not qualified. I'm not
people say to
qualified.
you, are you going to be a politician, Paddy? I say, no, I'm an activist.
Yeah, actually. Stick your hand
I'm
there.
going to be
I'll
an
vote
activist.
for you 100%.
Yeah, an activist is what I'm going to
Yeah.
be. So, but I was, because it was a great thing. I shared it. It was a Denzel Washington thing. It was brilliant. And he turns around and your woman says to me, he says, if you don't read the newspaper, you don't know what's going on. And if you do read the newspaper, you're ill-informed.
Mm-hmm. It's
Brilliant.
the truth.
And then, you know what she said to me? Well, then what do you do? He said, that's the question.
Yeah.
He says, as a journalist, you need to be sharing the truth. Do you know what I mean? All this fake news, he says, with so much access to stuff that you can get so fast, it's not about the truth anymore.
Yeah.
It's about who's first. And no one gives a shit.
Yeah.
It's about who's first.
And that's a major thing. When I started with MMA Connect TV, I started doing, like, you know, the kind of scoop, the results, an exclusive. And I didn't like the feeling of it. You get that, like, wanting to be first. Oh, can I get the exclusive? I was like, this isn't.
This is what I'm asking.
This isn't where I want to be. I don't care about clickbait. I don't care about, like, the numbers. It's the stories.
But did you find that part of your body flares up? Because that happens. You know.
Yeah, you get caught into it, and you're like,
I see it.
and then you start chasing that, and then you're like, oh, I want, and
you see people chasing it,
and you see your peers chasing it as
you
well.
know what happens is,
and you just want to step back, Paddy, and go, yous all go do that. I'm going to head over here and do my own thing.
Personality change, and they chase it more, and it gets worse and worse and worse.
Yeah.
Like, I'll say for an example, you have a lad getting a picture of a t-shirt on, then all of a sudden it's not the only shirt, then it's the t-shirt off, and I want to say lad there because you get arrested these days. Yeah. No, because I'm saying this to you as well, like, the idea of, I would say girls learn jiu-jitsu and are a lot more organised than lads, you know what I mean? Now, some lads are, there's always going to be that exception. So it's not like, but what about... Of course, but we're talking about minority majority here. Yeah,
well, they always say that women, you know, as a coach, women are way more technical. Because we have to be.
When I went to school, I had like a pencil this size that I'd been saving, kept it, and I stuck it in my ear. And like Mandy beside me had like all our pens laid out, all different colours, all everything. And I'm like, you show one of them pens there, but you know what I mean? And I'd be like,
but that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of men.
My jiu-jitsu was still that pencil, do you get what I mean? But I fucking girls jiu-jitsu, right, they roll out a big mat, and then I go left, then I go right, then I go up, then I go, it's post, hold on, let's feel that. Yeah, you do.
Yeah, so exactly,
even learning is that little bit different, you know? Now, I'm not saying that boys don't learn like that too, but mostly my percentage after years and years of it is that girls are really good at figuring the shit out, organising it out on the table, you know what I mean? And you are still sitting over there picking on arms and wiping it in Barry's head.
Yeah.
That's it. And the girls are like sorting, they have it out. They're drilling.
It's so true.
Like,
yeah.
oh, hold on. Well, we've got to, you know, so
Yeah.
even at kids' levels, you see it all the way.
Absolutely, yeah.
So now, say in the future, there's people out there that say they're in a class and they can't get out of that class. So even if you rent your house, or say off the council for all the years you never lived, and then you want to buy a house and give it to your kid, alright? There's like you could have made a decision 20 years ago that's going to neglect that, alright?
Yeah.
So say if you have a 2-bedroom house or a 3-bedroom house, and you have say a daughter and a son, alright? And then all of a sudden the son moves off and you just have a daughter, or the opposite way around, you just have a son. If you want to buy that house, they won't let you buy that house because you can't buy a 3-bedroom house because you only have 2 people in it. It's like, yeah, but I've been here for 20 years and I had got 3 people in it. Yeah, but you can't do that now. So if you're in a certain class, you can't even, like, if you had the money cash to go in and buy that house after 20 years, you're like, listen, you gave me the house 20 years ago for the council, I want to buy it off you now because if something happens to me, I don't want my daughter to have to get kicked out.
Yeah.
Not only that, they'd be like, what do you mean? So you're going to die soon and then we might have an access to a 3-bedroom house?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, someone's mad dies, they've no kids, they've no technical rights to be able to stay in this house because there's too many bedrooms and there's not enough people in it. And they would lose that.
Yeah.
All right? Now, I know as a father, people that, but that's the way the system works, or something like that. As a father, me dying on my bed, that would kill me more. You know,
Absolutely, yeah.
Imagine not being able to have, you know that you haven't secured it.
Yeah.
You didn't secure
Your
it.
fundamental whole concept as a parent is to protect.
Yeah.
And even like I don't have kids, but I know from my own parents and from my friends who do have, they're just like their whole focus now is that child.
It changes, it does.
That
and
child.
The middle class thing. So say people that rise up, that walk their ass off, and they go all the way up, and then say me for example, and then all of a sudden, there's nothing out there for middle class people as well. So when I'm on this and I'm saying about like social class and all this, to me, I think all the way up to 80%, we're all being affected by the same problems. We're not in a situation where like, if you're not owning the house, or you're not, and even people that are owning the houses, because I understand that people that are renting houses now to people as well, some people are starting to realise that, hold on, you can't kick me out here on, like, and I know of people like that are being told like, do you know what, it was raining and I couldn't put your rent in.
Yeah.
And then after a while you push the boat a few times and it's like, there's actually nothing you can do about that.
Really?
Yeah. So you have, and all what happens is, then you have that middle class lad, hates that lad now.
Yeah.
They're fucking all the same, that this, that. Now, suits nobody else but the top.
Yeah.
But there needs to be, I understand, there needs to be laws for all of them. In a situation that we all get on well, you know what I mean? There needs to be more situations where you can rent to actually buy the house in the end. More incentives, more schemes, and not just on social class, not just on working class, on middle class, on up in them situations, that we actually end up with something. After all of these years we get out of bed and do our things that the money is going towards somewhere.
Well, look at it this way. I'm in Dublin 14, 15 years on average from 500, we'll say, to 700 per month on rent. Over 15 years per month, never missed a payment. Do the maths. Do the maths there.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
The worst thing I would say was, and you're paying that probably, you're actually acquiring that money and then sending it out, am I right?
I'm working to pay rent.
So that would put you in a situation where you would nearly hate people that were getting given that rent off the government. Now, I'm going to ask you a view on that, right? Because I know what type of person you are, and I think that you're kind of like, listen, we all get on, we all do our thing, and that is the way it is. But you can see the situation where someone would end up being like, yeah, but hold on. So you mean you get yours for nothing?
Yeah.
But that would make you have to, if you wanted to do that, you would have to drop, say, a class.
Absolutely,
and drop a situation where the situation you're in now would actually make more sense.
Yeah.
So we're building in a system that's mental.
Absolutely.
And it makes no sense.
I understand why people look down their noses on people who are in those situations or who do get that off the government. Because, it's by design. They have designed us to fight amongst each other so that we distract, or the top level is distracted
it's like
against us. Exactly. Do you know what I mean? And you learn this. And when you say that to me, like, how do you feel about that? When you have to pay rent and you pay for 15 years, like, I have enough intelligence to know that it's not that person's.
Exactly.
problem. It's not there. It's the circumstance. It's the government. And you look at the dole and all these things that the governments have put in place for the lower classes, we would say, and it's designed so that they can't get out.
You can't get out. You can't. Yeah. So
and then their kids grow into that.
100%. They get taught the system.
100%. And we're talking about my Muay Thai gym is in city centre, inner city Dublin. And I'm surrounded by kids who are the children of parents who are in these systems. And it's only when you're in those environments like that you see, even though they may be government assisted, they don't have a pot to piss in, Paddy.
No.
They don't have a pot to piss in. And to think that I would go and look down my nose on them because they are getting that off the government... Like, that makes me, so that upsets me that people live their lives like that. Do you know what I mean? And those people are some of the kindest, hard-working, like, most community-based humanitarians that I've ever met.
Yes.
I would rather spend... and we're talking about Craig Coakley. He's brought me down to the flats a couple of times while we're doing documentaries and stuff.
Flats.
But I'd rather be down the flats than I would be up and bleeding wherever else. You know what I mean? And when I was, recently my house got sold and I was renting for 5 years and I had to find a new place to live. It took me months. I had to go live in a friend's house for a couple of months until I found someplace. But at the time I was like, lads, there are any gaffs going down them flats? I'll go down. The lads were cracking up. They're like, imagine Lydia from MMA Connect TV coming out of the flats down.
In the flats, but then, you know, that's...
do you know what I mean?
I'm still in the hood. I'm never going
absolutely,
anywhere. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I had someone saying to me the other day, like that they moved out and they were like, what did
and I remember speaking to Craig and his coach Collie about this before, and I was saying, they were talking about, remember there was a rat infestation in one of the flats, and one of the kids that trains in the gym, she came up and she was like, you know, bleeding, they caught a load of rats, just rats running around, and the council weren't basically doing anything. And there was a load of, like, you know, the comment section on the Journal and all these absolute assholes who were saying, like, what way are they living if there's rats running around and all this bollocks, right? And so I'm swearing loads. I'm getting impassioned. That's why it drives me insane, you know. And not only have you got that child who's 13, 14, hearing the outside society that she's trying to grow into, and that we're in the gym trying to make her believe that she can achieve anything in her life and that she can be anything that she wants to be, no matter of her circumstances. So she has to hear that people that are not in those situations are saying, well, what kind of conditions are they living in? You know, let them sort it out itself. If I have a rat in my back garden, who's going to come collect it for me? Do I have to ring the council? All this type of stuff, you know. And I remember having kind of like a diplomatic conversation with Collie and Craig, and I was like, you know, if it is really that bad, why do they want to stay there? I was trying to understand, right? It wasn't the like, wasn't the defensive thing. It was like, why do they want to stay there? Yeah. And they were talking about a family that were offered a house outside the inner city area where their flat wasn't livable, but they were offered something somewhere else, and they said that they didn't want to take it. And I was saying, if they're being offered a better accommodation, but it's in Kildare or something really far out, why would they not want to take it? Explain to me, let me understand, because it's out of my, it's not a world that I grew up in. I don't understand it. And they said it was the community, it was the protection that they have in those flatted areas, the sense of that's their safe space, and outside those flats is a world that looks down on them and judges them.
It is, and
categorises them.
100%.
And when you hear that, how can you not have compassion for every single person that is in inner city Dublin? Do you know what I mean? Or any inner city area, or anyone that is classed on a class system lower than you are. Do you know what I mean? I had a privileged upbringing. I was from a working class, middle class family. Do you know what I mean? I never wanted for anything. And the stories that I hear from these kids, that what they're going through, you know, their families that are, it's normal for, you know, Mary in the third floor flat to put on a pot of stew for 10 kids down below her because the ma's...
Say it's a whopper stew as well.
You know yourself, there's everything in it. You know, like, and the last telling stories of, I remember our mother, you know, Collie was telling me a story of his mum that used to put on a big load of dinner on like whatever night, and a load of kids who had parents who were maybe junkies or who had different things. Excuse me. just so that they would be fed. I know another guy who was telling me about that they used to organise community-based trips, and like once a month, and you pay a $5 and you go off to like Funderland or some kind of like activity day. And he said he remembered as clear as day, there was 2 kids who were the children of 2 junkies that were living in the flats, and one day they didn't come, and they were all the lads were on the bus, and they were looking out at the 2 kids, and they were just looking up at the bus, and he remembers saying to his mom, you know, why aren't they coming? And he remembers his mom trying to explain to him, you know, for the last however long we've been paying for them to come along, and we just had to, you know, we can't keep doing it basically.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And you know, it's a long-winded story about why that happened and different stuff, you know, but just even as a 11-year-old child to have to be explained to, and then people wonder why they grow up angry and bitter against the world, and like, what's their problem? Do you know what I mean? And it's just...
That's mad that you say that, right? Because
Yeah.
I remember as a kid, we used to go on them trips, right? So kind of like played mad things. Anyone ever heard of Clewer House or that, like that, Butlins or that, and you brought there, right? So we used to go on them houses. And my ma went down and we went all the way to the village, right? And we were getting on the, we got on the bus, right? Now my ma's sound, right? She's a warrior, she is, but she's not too with it sometimes, you know what I mean? She didn't book the seats that we had, but the trip was on, we turned up at this time. And when we turned up, right, we sat on the bus because we were early. But then people turned up a little bit late, and then it turned out there was no seats on the bus.
No!
Right? And it turned out we were the 2 people that were over too big. Like, so me, my sister and me ma. And we had to get off the bus. Right? So I know exactly.
So you remember that day as clear as...
I remember coming up the street and me ma explaining to me, and I was bawling my eyes out. I was going on holidays that day.
Yeah.
And like, I remember, and it was mental. It really was. It was incredible. And like, even to now, looking at that now, like even when I'm in it, say if I'm buying something, I smile nearly, you know what I mean? Because it is them little things, but as you said there, that can make you bitter and make you hate, and it can make you think. And now I would have, as I said, until I kind of found the idea of the jiu-jitsu portal. You know, that's where it's so, I stress it as much. If you've never tried it, try it, you know?
Absolutely.
Because I would have been bitter, and I would have been a little bit annoyed about all of them kind of things. So it would have been like, why do you fucking have all that money and I don't have it? And it's like, hold on, some people that live in a big house and have all these stuff on it, they don't necessarily have money as well, and that they're struggling in their own way. We're all struggling.
Everyone's struggling.
We're all struggling.
Everyone's struggling.
Apart from me.
Yeah.
I'm only messing.
Flash the cash over here.
No, and I'm cash, but I'm a happy motherfucker.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's it.
But, and also, you know, what you try to, especially the young kids that I'm surrounded by, trying to get them to understand that, like, you know, happiness is a choice at the end of the day. It's as simple as that. And it's just about reprogramming your mind and finding, once it's like being off a track, and as soon as you get onto the happiness track, you never come off it.
And you don't want to come off it.
You don't want to come off it. And you start to see the positive in everything. Every negative situation that you get put into or that happens to you, there's always something. If you say, like, my house gets sold and I have to find someplace to rent, but I can't find anywhere to rent, well, maybe it was time for a change. And this is the way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you see, like, you know, if you just go with the flow and roll with the punches and just, like, take what happens and work hard, be a good person, be passionate, have a bit of drive, and keep going. Like, the world actually isn't that bad.
Oh, it's not. I had a mad thought today, right? And I'm a bit of a weirdo sometimes. I was standing at the back and I was listening to the boards. Boards. All right, man. No, only messing. It wasn't 2 boards. It was the actual boards, right? Because it's come to that part of the summer and I love that, right? I love that part of the summer. And I'm listening to 2 boards and I'm thinking about, imagine the life that goes on in nature as well. Like, I'm like, imagine what it's like to be a bird, I was thinking in my head. And I'm thinking, like, that's fucking probably stressful, actually.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Imagine how stressful that is. Like, being a bird, you have to go, you have to build a nest, you have to hope that the worms are there, you have to dig them, you got to bring them back. When you fly off to get these sticks and get this stuff and all of that, you got to make sure that nothing eats your babies, you got to watch cats, you got to watch this, and it's like, then I'm thinking, like, think about a snake has to come up out of his hole, he has to go and find it, go find the mouse, and all of these,
and about birds,
we're all in a situation. Now, if any of these animals at one time just decide that it's too hard, I can't do it.
Yes.
That's it.
Absolutely. And like a bird in flight, if you look at a bird, right? Anyone watches this, go out and look up, and if you see a bird flying, if he just decides to stop midway and go, fuck this, I'm not flying anymore, he's going to hit the bleeding ground and crash. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's that simple. Keep going. Keep going. That, like, and shit happens to, like, people always say to me, like, you're so happy. The lads in the gym to be always like, geez, you're too Monday morning. I'm like, morning. They're like, fuck's sake.
Oh, no, I'd hate
you're
that.
You're too.
No, I'd hate that, Lydia.
Morning, guys.
Fuck
like,
off.
you know, too positive, too happy all the bleeding time. And I say to them, like, don't get me wrong. I'd be bleeding on my knees by the end of the day, bawling, crying like, oh, Jesus. But it's like a moment.
You're pretty more grateful now that you're happy, you know, because
gratitude has opened up a window.
And if you get fucked like down the road, as I'm saying, if you get like messed up like that in a band situation, so I'm saying to you, coming through the grinder and not being part of the grinder now, where if you go through a grinder and then all of a sudden you're out the other side and then you're like, oh, I'm gonna get there, man, and then other people are coming through. But if you can go through the grinder and then be like, haha,
you know what
I'm
it taught
still
me
the
as
same
well.
person on the other side.
What it taught me as well, Paddy, is I took it for granted. You know, it was something that I wanted for so long. I got it, and when I got it, the ego again made me take it for granted, and I was like, this is never going to end. I'm here now, I've arrived, and I'm not going anywhere. And then it's gone, and you're like on your arse and you've nothing left, and you're like, what? No. And you can't get it back. It's gone, and you just have to deal with the reality of this is a period now that has ended, and it doesn't mean that everything is going to stop and that you'll never be happy again or you'll never succeed in something again, but it means that now is a time for you to start again and to go on to do something new. So now with MMA Connect TV, I have that instilled. It's like an ingrained, like, hard work ethic.
Yeah, don't.
I don't want to stop. I don't want to slow down. I'm grateful for everything, for every, you know, promoter that books me, for every documentary that I do, for every fighter that allows me to have an insight into their life. I'm grateful. And obviously this and it is. No, but I told you already, it's a huge deal for me. And this is a nod that I'm doing something right, and I'm on the right direction.
And I'll tell you
somewhere.
I'll tell you, don't do that, that's right. You know what I mean? I'll tell you.
Yeah, but thank you very much.
You've been a great last one, and as I said, any ever experience I've ever had you it's been great. It's been positive, it's been a good energy.
Thank you.
So we might as well touch on some Irish MMA and then we wrap this up, because it's late now. The weekend, so Cage Legacy the weekend, but before Cage Legacy, right, so I kind of put something together. I did for, now it's mad because right, I put something together and it cost me probably about 500 quid, 600 quid on my own pocket, right? But it's for the younger part of MMA to get started, right? So it's called the All Ireland Fighting Championships, MMA Fighting Championships. I'm gonna get you to come to the next one. You're gonna do some around,
absolutely,
right? And so it's about getting kids that are very close together in skill level and walking to the cage, letting them all warm up in the same area, doing all the rules meeting in the same area, but they actually make a walk. It was actually the first show like this that's ever been put on in the island of Ireland. It's all good.
Yeah.
Yeah, listen, the reason why I did it is because my lads need it too.
Yeah.
But everyone else's lads need it too. And here's something I'd ask that everyone, I won't say just appreciates it, but respects the idea that it costs money, right? So we walk forward to the cage. 4 people are there. If you win and you get a finish, you get 3 points. If you get a decision, you get 2 points. And you get an experience point for competing.
Brilliant.
Just like jiu-jitsu, right?
Yeah.
But it's in a cage. So it's in the event. It was in the cage, Legacy cage, before the event was happening. So then some kids are actually standing at the show later on going, oh, we found that later on.
No way.
Right? And loads of the kids were like, wow, I was nervous. And they had all the feelings that I wanted them to get. Now, winning and losing and all that, it never matters. I said this at the start, right? I went up and I did like kind of like a rules meeting part. And as I said, it's not me. It's Darren Sonic as a huge part in putting some of the stuff together. Yeah. And it's not a profit. No one's making money, right? But my God, I had to stop one of the parents from nearly jumping into the cage.
Seriously?
On the first fight, I had to start sitting down 3 times. The biggest, and you know what? The mad thing was when his kid came out. Now we know the lad that was on about, and he's sound. He knows the story.
Yeah.
Right? And his kid was like, "Listen, Dad, I told you, I'm gonna have to make a rule list, right? If I'm going to keep going forward with this for the parents."
Yeah.
Some of the parents need to chill the fuck out.
Yeah.
And that's it, you know.
And
listen, we got a ref. We had a proper ref and all. Like, so we got Declan Larkin did it.
No way, high level referee.
Yeah, so we didn't just throw some referee.
Yeah.
We got people to judge, timekeepers, people like I wasn't like I'll just judge and subbing such a heel
some
judge.
spud in there, like
Listen,
not knowing what's going on.
I forget the guy's name, and it's breaking me heart. He does. He's long haired. He's a beard. He's a real nice lad. He did a documentary with Dean Garnett before
Irish?
weight cutting.
Oh, he does a thing for the BBC.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's
he
it.
done
Yeah.
Dean Garnett's.
He was judging.
Right, yeah.
Someone else. Loads of moaning about judging and all this. Listen, this was a novice competition. And we had an argument with somebody about a decision. I didn't even see the fucking fight, right? Being out straight, but I was like, oh my God. And we had to bite it out more than I could chew. But,
And especially you coming from the highest level of the game where decisions and referees' decisions and stoppages happen all the time, and you're like, that was daylight robbery.
Listen,
do you know what I mean? And you're a little 10-year-old just floating in there.
But the worst part of that is, right, as I said on the other side of that, people don't see that, hold on, you're going to stand here and you're going to say that this didn't kill him. That kid is now standing there going, hold on, did I not win?
Yeah.
So, as parents and as adults, we need to be careful of what we're saying and how we're behaving at these situations, because we're supposed to be the examples.
And put your trust in the coaches.
100%.
Put your trust in the coaches that are putting your kids in.
But we're going to go forward with this even more. And in August, hopefully, that's the next venue of it. And that it keeps expanding.
Brilliant. And I for anyone that knows, everyone was saying, well, why wasn't Lydia there? I was in Manchester.
She didn't want to go.
I was covering your cow, but I promise you I'll be there. I have serious
But what she
FOMO.
did this as well, though. So then Cage Legacy, and this was in Finstown Castle, by the way. And thanks to Finstown for helping out with everything. Boys of Sound. One of probably the most epic atmospheres. I'm not messing. I'm not blowing this out.
You're just saying that because I wasn't there.
No, but it was absolutely amazing. Anybody that was there said the same thing. And do you know what someone came into me said, and I'm such a compliment. He came in and said, do you know what that was like? That was like a GAA crowd.
No way.
Brilliant.
That's what we want.
All right. Now, and the guys obviously would have seen venues coming in and out and stuff like that. And even the guys that were like, that was really, really good.
Yeah.
Now, we didn't have barriers on that, and we had things, and everyone stayed nice and controlled. There was no craziness, literally wasn't. But you want to hear the absolute atmosphere, right? So, I had a few guys on it, had girls as well, Liv Pendergast on it.
Yeah,
Liv
she's
got her
doing
first
brilliant.
Win. She's got her first win there.
Yeah.
And then she's dropping kids to scale with black eyes and all
It was only after. When did she make her debut? What was it on? Cage Warriors in Liverpool.
Now, that was a decision as well. That would have been like.
Exactly, yeah. And I heard that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but it's like it's one of these things, you know,
But it was after that I heard that she, because I saw a picture of her and I was like, Jesus, she looks great. She was after losing loads of weight. She was fighting a featherweight. I was like,
you want to see the journey now. Liv's a sound.
Yeah.
She's part of the furniture here as well. You know what I mean? But Liv is another example of kind of like something that you did yourself, and then there's other girls.
And
as
she's
well.
kids, so I can't imagine how hard it is to have kids as well.
So her husband's an absolute.
Do you know what I mean?
Her husband is amazing. He helps so much with all of that. And I know she said, but anyway. Then we have Jacob, had James, so somewhere we'll go, somewhere didn't go so good. I had two grappling lads on. You want to see them grappling matches, right?
Daddy.
Ooh, two kids, the ones of the kids are 17, but you want to check them out. They're ninjas, absolutely
really,
ninjas.
yeah.
They're doing very well, yeah. And even the guys that stepped up to control, to compete against them outside Deco's Club, it was great because everybody just really got on. But the atmosphere, but then the main event fight. So the main event fight was Pat Holohan and Mikey Bourne. So Mikey Bourne trains out here, Pat Holohan trains out SPG Cork. Yeah. Great little fight. Now Pat Holohan is tough as motherfucker.
Yeah,
no
he
doubt,
is.
man.
Yeah,
I have to say, and he held it up well. He held it up well. Well, he walked into a room with a Cork flag in Dublin and was able to, you know what I mean, able to put it there. You know what I mean?
What was the result? I didn't even see any results.
So Pat Holohan won the title. He won by unanimous decision. So Mikey, now another thing, Mikey's probably 18 years of age, right? Yeah. Now Mikey is incredibly talented as well. Like when I say talent, there's no such thing as talent. This kid has it. He's loose. He's probably one of the even the way he warms up, his atmosphere is very close to Conor right now. He's a lovely kid. He comes from a lovely family. He's a middle class kid. But he's one of 9.
No, well, there's something in that. If he's one of 9, never mind middle class. You know, he knows the screen, knows the fight.
All sounds you can tell where, but like we got to the door, and I mean, this is in Lucan. He's from Lucan. and the place was like Cage Contender. It was, I couldn't remember, like I haven't remembered like that, and like I was a little bit nervous about how he was going to react to that.
Yeah.
Because they don't know until they get dropped into that.
Yeah.
Right? And so we're walking out, and I mean this place, literally, you see the video, you see it's like Mikey. Right, so then he goes in, and they had a war. And I would say Mikey took the first round, and then I think little Pat caught with a few body shots, and it took a little bit of wind out of him, and he couldn't just fire. But you want to see it. It was absolutely on fire. It was. You would have loved it, Lydia. I could imagine you running around there.
With the cameras, getting them going.
Next one, 100%.
Yeah, I'm booked in. Yeah.
I think, I won't announce, but I think we're going to do it in August again. In another event in the same kind of setting and stuff like that.
And this is why I do what I do, because there's people out there that don't even have a clue that this goes on.
I know.
Do you know what I mean? People are like, what? And what do you, when I started on the Elaine show, and what do you do? I was like, combat sports coverage, and would there be enough events going on? And I'm like, what? Turning down bookings.
This is it.
This is only Ireland.
And this is it. Like, and especially because you do K1 and Thai and all of
Thai
this, you know what I mean? But,
boxing, the whole lot.
I think the MMA scene is starting to curl again, you know what I mean? But I think definitely that All Ireland Fighting Championships was, I feel, was the step that was missing to get up to that step of fighting in the evening, you know what I mean? Because you can imagine how motivated you'd be now to, say, compete in the morning and then go and look at that absolute atmosphere. And as I said, two of the lads are very young that fought the main event, but two lads that are having an experience now that I've walked out into, like hostile territory for Pat, which was properly great, he did, you know what I mean? And then for Mikey, I've walked out in my hometown where it's gone crazy, you know what I mean? And then hopefully we had to do the idea but switch it around. Yeah. And then when they go pro, I'm trying to say the idea is it's 0-0.
Yeah, nothing matters. That's the thing with amateurs.
And we get good fights from the amateurs in the pros.
And it's putting a blueprint in front for people so the kids can see, they can visualise, right, I start here, then I get into the cage later that day, then I go on to this, then I go on to that. So it's mapped out for him. Do you know what I mean?
And then as well, the announcement this week of Andy Ryan being the head coach.
I saw that,
again announced as an assistant coach.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a few, and Barry Osby and Liam Og as well as in the thing. So I think I don't fuck around with
and is this whole system of the points rankings, is that's going to come in?
Do you know the mad thing is?
I saw Andy talk about it on here.
No shame we sorted out this whole situation that's going on.
I actually, cause when I was watching it and I saw a clip on it and it came up Andy's and I was watching it and I listened to Andy all day, and then when he started talking about the rankings system, I was like, that makes perfect sense.
Well, I started implementing in the novices already. So that the other day, everybody that competed on that, their points are kept. So the next time we go to do that, when the names come in, if some kid has got 2 finishes, that means he's good. Yeah. Alright, so he's 6 points. So we'll find the other kids with 6 points and we'll match them as close as we can.
It sets up perfect matchmaking, evens everything out.
All the way up to the top.
Puts in a little bit of a competitive spirit. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? A healthy competitive spirit where you want to get to the top of the rankings.
Definitely.
Do you know what I mean?
100%. And you know what? The fourth outing is going to be Rome. So the Irish team goes to Rome, still has to get picked. So my first coaching outing is going to be on that, and we're going to create training around different clubs, because we all need to stay interlinked. It's a small little island, and you know, from travelling jiu-jitsu and all this, when we go to the other side, it's like, because I see at the shows the young fellas that are now kind of like at the top of the amateurs, or top of going up that thing, that the karate between their opponent and the respect that they have for their opponent is evident in all of them situations.
Absolutely. And when you go, like, I've only competed at the Europeans in Portugal, jiu-jitsu, and when you go and you see that massive arena with thousands of people and you spot a green jersey or a tricolour and you're over, you know, there's the boys from SPG, there's the lads from Bleeding Team Rhino, or whoever it is, you know, and it's just like, have a competitive over here and we do our thing, but when we go and we travel, we're representing the island, and we're all together, and we're all 100%. Fucking better together, you know what I mean? Better together.
The island of Ireland. And say that, Bobby, wrap it up and go down.
No, because I have to go and edit this now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because do you know what? You're going. This is fresh as fish.
Morning.
This podcast is, alright.
He's actually touched on everything.
This is fresh as fish.
Touched on everything.
We did.
Yeah, we had a list.
You're an absolute
legend. Thank you so much.
I wish you so much coverage.
Thank you.
I wish you the success. All you do is you work hard, you get success. That's
Thank you, Paddy. I really appreciate it. I genuinely do. And before I go, you know, I meant to say to you, I remember watching an interview that you done a while ago. And you were saying something, or someone was talking, I can't remember, talking about not sweating the small stuff and that, like, but you had a comment where you said when you go up to where do you go walking your dogs? Up
Hellfire
at Hellfire Club. When you get up to the top and you look down and you realise how small we are. And it stuck with me, I'm telling you. And anytime I see like hills with trees on it, it pops into my head and it's funny. Isn't that mad? And it always like, it's such a good thing, like how small we are and how like no matter what's going on, no matter how big the situation is in your head, take yourself out of it, go up a bit higher, go into nature, and you realise that, do you know what? We're just fucking blessed to be here, man. We really are.
It's blessed to be here. So episode 69. Catch us on the other side.